All right, so we are breaking down the Kevin Durant injury. So if you missed it last night, what Kevin was doing was almost doing a pivot. He planted his heel, so this was a non-contact injury, and went down, and then he came back up limped off the side, didn't return into the game. But ultimately, they're awaiting MRI test results for an Achilles tendon tear or possibly a rupture. Now, biggest things, why have his feet been compared to breadsticks? Okay, epic meme in the comments below. But basically, what I think one of his teammates took a picture of this. But how they look like breadsticks is from the side profile view, you're supposed to have this nice, beautiful arch in the foot. If you've ever seen pictures of Kevin Durant's photos of his feet, you can Google it. They are flat when you're looking at the side profile view, which is a condition called pes planus. Okay, so this is the general term for flat feet. Now, the problem with flat feet is there's supposed to be an arch, and if we know arches in society, what they do is they dissipate force. Okay, so this allows for the forces to be distributed evenly among the structures, but it also absorbs energy. So when we're walking, what we're doing is the foot arch is supposed to dissipate all those forces, the contact forces from the ground into the foot, and then it also decreases the amount of energy. Now, if the energy is not decreased down here, it will travel upstream into things like the Achilles tendon, okay, which is the largest, broadest tendon in the body. It can withstand forces up to 1,000 pounds, so it's not a weak tendon whatsoever. Now, what's happened because of the poor foot mechanics is that energy traveled upstream, and then it can damage structures upstream. So this could be the calf muscles. So you'll often see when people have flat feet, they are going to have wicked tight calf muscles. That's because the energy is not absorbed properly within the foot and it travels upstream. Now, have you ever seen a basketball shoe? Okay, if you've ever worn a basketball shoe, what they are, they're like tanks. Okay, so the sole is very inflexible. It doesn't provide any flexibility for the foot muscles, for the feet, and so you can develop this condition called pes planus, which is the flat foot syndrome. It also causes joint dysfunction and mobility issues within the ankle joint. Now, one of these ankle joints that we're going to talk about more specifically is right here. Okay, it is called the subtalar joint, and that is one of the main ankle joints and allows for this motion here, which is plantar flexion and dorsiflexion. So if you have an ankle injury, sustain an ankle injury, or you just have limited mobility within the ankle joint, what's going to happen is that foot's only going to move about that much. Now, what the reaction to that is you're going to get the calf muscles that are going to really get tight, and they're going to get like way too wickedly strong, and then it can cause injuries to the Achilles tendon because you don't have that nice motion within the ankle joint, so the calf muscle overworks itself. And this is not like this was one thing leading Kevin Durant's injury. This was over the course of years, possibly even decades of, I will say, wearing improper footwear and possibly not doing the right things to help his foot absorb the forces and the energy that it needed to in order to not withstand that injury. So if you look at Kobe Bryant's footwear through the years, what he actually did is he went to a low top, okay, and he went into a more flexible sole. Although he did have some injuries, but for the most part, Kobe was relatively healthy within his foot and ankle area, minus a couple ankle sprains, and I think he may have some Achilles injury. But he went to a more flexible shoe and a lower top shoe, which brings us to the point, is it time to abandon the high top shoe? So, which is very characteristic of basketball players. Now, this is a study out of the Journal of Foot and Ankle Research. This was published back in 2014, and what they did is they looked at reactionary forces from different surfaces. So basically, when somebody came down and landed, they looked at the time it took for the muscles to respond to that stimulus and stabilize the ankle joint. And I'll read this verbatim. This is a conclusion. These findings provide preliminary evidence suggesting that wearing high-top shoes in certain conditions induce a delayed pre-activation timing and decreased amplitude of eversion muscle activity, and may therefore have a detrimental effect on establishing and maintaining functional ankle joint stability. And basically what they're saying is wearing high-top shoes in certain conditions will limit stability of the foot when it goes into contact with different surfaces at different angles and diminish the ankle joint stability. So it was previously thought that we wore high-top shoes to protect the ankles, but in reality what we're finding out is that when the ankle joint goes into that with a high-top ankle shoe, it's limiting the stability of the ankle joint, therefore predisposing these people to some sort of an inversion ankle sprain is one of the most common things that can be there. But also keep in mind we need to have this proper ankle joint motion so that way we can absorb energy and decrease the forces going into the tissue. That way you won't injure yourself.